No, so this is a movie review on that movie called Puncture Wounds. And I'm gonna give a thorough review about all the thoughts that go through my head while I was watching the movie. And basically that movie, the only reason I watched it was because it starred Cung Lee. You know, Cung Lee, if you guys don't know, is he used to be like one of the master fighters in Sansao, which is like a Chinese kickboxing thing. And then he was like, I think, undefeated in that for a very long time. Then I think he went into the MMA, and then now he's into the movies. And his background, he's Vietnamese. He's not Chinese, but he's Vietnamese, and he's Americanized. You know, he could speak English pretty well. And basically, I was looking for movies to watch, and I saw the movie being advertised, and I looked at it, you know, read the description, and then I found out I wanted to look at the trailer. I went to look at the trailer, and I found out that's actually on YouTube for free. So that movie's actually on YouTube. It's called Puncture Wounds, and it's a free movie. So that made it even more of a reason to just watch it. So if it wasn't him in the movie, I wouldn't even have bothered watching it. Now, the reason why I watched it, even though I'm against the whole MMA thing, I'm against the whole competition sport thing, the reason why I watched it is because he's an Asian American, or an American Asian. I don't know where he's been born, but say he's an Asian American. So he's kind of like me. I mean, he kind of looks a little bit, and he doesn't look like me, but, you know, the Asian features, you know, we look a little similar. You know, so I'm interested more on that aspect of seeing somebody that's Asian American making it big in America. That interests me. It's not that he's a sport fighter. It's just the fact that he's an Asian American, and I'm basically seeing, you know, he's coming from, you know, he used competition sport to gain fame and attention and money. And Sansao is popular in China, but it's not popular in America, so nobody knows him for Sansao. Everybody knows him for MMA, not Sansao. So he went into the MMA. It seems like he went to the MMA to get recognition from Americans. You know, to tap into the American like industry. So he did get into the MMA, and then he got his fan base from the MMA, and now he goes into acting. So he basically had to go through a lot of fighting in China, and then in the cage fighting, and then finally gives him opportunities to get into the movie industry. And this movie, he played the starring role. And I've seen other, you know, I did a little research, and I saw that he's been playing starring roles in other movies as well. So this really interests me because I'm like, hey, you know, this is not common to have an Asian American playing a starring role in an American movie. You know what I mean? We all know about Jean-Claude Van Damme. He's been in so many movies, but he's white. Okay, so that's nothing special. He's white. He's expected. You know, same thing with Steven Seagal and Chuck Norris. They're both white. They're all white people starring in American movies. It's nothing special. And even black people in starring in movies, like Wesley Snipes, you know, a bunch of movies. Will Smith, Denzel Washington. I mean, I can name hundreds of black people that are starring in American movies, but how many Asian Americans do you see starring in Asian or in American movies? It's very seldom. So that is what drew me to the movie, to see, hey, you know, this person's starring in a movie, you know, in America, and he's Asian, and he's Asian American. He's not like he's a fob, like fresh off the boat. You know, this guy speaks English and speaks it well, and here he is starring in this movie. So that's what drew me to the movie. Okay, so I also noticed that, hey, you know, this guy had to go through all this stuff, you know, fight all these hundreds of fights, and, you know, put his body through all this damage in the cage just to get the level of fame and recognition to be even accepted to even star in a movie role in America. So he put a lot of his hard work, blood, and sweat into fighting in order to even get the opportunity to be in an American movie. Okay. So that took a lot from, a lot of hard work. Okay, so now that he's in the movies, what I notice, the movie's not even popular. These movies that he's in, they're not even popular. Like the one that I just saw, the Puncture Wounds. I mean, I don't even think it was in the theaters at all. And you look on YouTube to see how many people watched the trailer. Barely any people watched the trailer. The movie came out in 2014, and it's already available on YouTube for free. And the comment section is left off on the trailer, so nobody can even comment. All right, you go onto the Amazon. Only one person gave a review on the movie, and it wasn't even a good review. I mean, basically, he went through all this hard work, and to get into a starring role. And look, he's in a starring role. He's known to be a great competition fighter, and then the movie is not even popular. Nobody even cares. He barely even make any money from the movie. People don't give a damn about the movie. Movies like Kung Fu Panda are a lot more successful. Not just a lot more, but so much more successful than a movie like this. And it just shows like, hey, you could work your butt off and you could get into the industry. But even getting into the industry, alright, to fight for that starring role, you're gonna have to fight your ass off just to get that role. He's got the starring role, and even though he's got the starring role, he's still like nobody even cares about the movie. Okay, so that is just clear right there. It's almost like you're an Asian American. You could try your ass off, but you're still not gonna even get that far. He fought all these times, and then now fought all these times, put himself in all this risk. Now he's finally able to get into the movies. He gets into the movies. He gets a starring role, and then the movies just nobody even cares about it anyway. Okay, and he barely even makes any money. Okay, so with that being said, okay, there's that aspect, and then now let's go into the movie. The movie in itself was just the story behind it and what is trying to teach you, the values. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, the values of the movie is like a 0. I mean, talking about from a scale from 1 to 10, the values of the movie is like a 0, even below a 1. Okay, so there's the moral values that the movie's trying to instill is absolutely outrageous. As far as the fight scenes are concerned, they're just basic fight scenes that anybody could do. I mean, Sylvester Stallone or just anybody, like Arnold Schwarzenegger or anybody that's just like ripped and buff could do the fight scenes the way that he did it. It's nothing special, basically, is what I'm saying. It's nothing like, oh my god, this is so cool. It's just like any WWE wrestler or any person that's a bodybuilder could do the fight scenes that he did in those movies. So that's not anything special at all. You compare the fight scenes to what Bruce Lee did is like night and day. Bruce Lee was actually like, that's real martial art, like fight choreography that's just like absolutely amazing. But this is just like street brawling, just like stabbing somebody, body slamming somebody, throwing somebody through a window, shooting somebody. I mean, anybody could do this stuff. They got Matt Damon in Born Identity that's acting as if he's like a hardcore martial artist, has been trained for like 30 years. No, I mean, they could have anybody do these stupid fight scenes. They don't need somebody that actually knows how to quote unquote fight. I mean, these fight scenes are not anything special at all. So I don't even care for the fight scenes to begin with. Like, I'm just not into the action movies like that because I see like how distorted America views martial arts. They don't even know what art means. They just It's just action to them. It's just action movies like Sylvester Stallone, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, just Bruce Willis. Let's just blow things up. Let's just shoot and kill people. Let's just do this. Let's just terrorize people. Like that's not martial arts. It's a bunch of action. So this is not even a martial arts movie. This is just an action movie. You understand? So, okay. So that being said, what else is problem with the movie is so I'm gonna go more into it, but there's just a lot of profanity, a lot of just dirty language. I mean, horrible language. I mean, I know that I use profanity as well, but the way that they use it in this movie is just teaching people like it's like this just dirty, like ugly, low class people. I mean, like just the language, it just goes over the top. The profanity, it just goes over the top. It's not even like something where that it's even anything that adds any type of like it's not like I don't know how to explain it that much. But like Menace to Society, for example, there's a lot of profanity in that movie, but it flows with the movie to me. Like you can't have that movie without the profanity because that's how it is on the streets. Like they're showing like the real hardcore, like this is how it is on the streets. But this movie, Puncture Wounds, this is not like showing the reality of like the reality. It's just a bunch of people acting as if they know about hardcore when they don't. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just people acting as if this is real when it's not. Like somebody that's playing a gangster, but he doesn't know anything about gang life. How it really is. Like movies like Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society are going like this is like the real, like you could feel the realness of like this is how we speak, this is how we dress, this is how we talk. I mean, this is how we fight. Like this is street, like drive-by shooting and just revenging and killing each other. Like movies like that, like it draws me in because you see the realness of it. And same thing even with Godfather. Like Godfather, they're not blacks, they're Italians or whatever the race, but the way there was like more of like a professional way of like doing crime. Like white, just like a very like deceitful and political. I mean, movies like Godfather, movies like that, Godfather 1, 2, and 3, movies like Goodfellas. I mean, there's something where it flows. But this movie, Puncture Wounds, I mean, it's just like it doesn't flow. I mean, it's like it's bad. It's not. Maybe they didn't pick the right characters, or they just don't have like the proper setup to like showing that, hey, this is real. Like that's not real to me. Like the way that they're communicating and all the profanity that they're using is not like a part of an artful creation. They're just like blurting out a bunch of stupid stuff. And it's just promoting people to just be ignorant with the way that they speak, opposed to like this is a part of the culture and this is like there's a difference between like a real gangbanger that's on film than somebody who is not a gangbanger trying to be a gangbanger, basically. Like somebody like Al Pacino, he really put himself in that role. You could kind of like he made it real. Like, hey, I'm like a head mafia boss, and I'm the Don, and he made that real. Like he he really like embraced that role, and it became a part of him, and he put it on film so beautifully. Not anybody could do that, you know. So the profanity is off the chart, and the stuff that they say, you know, they say a lot of racist things as well, which is very unnecessary, you know. But they just throw that in there, and then they throw that in there, just making people like watch it and be like, hey, you know, I could say this stuff too, you know. So that was unnecessary, right? It's just a very dirty movie, you know. Not just with the profanity, but you know the things that I'm saying. Okay, what else is there? So this guy, he's playing a role. This Cung Lee, he's playing this role as like a Iraq like veteran, comes out of the military, and then okay, you know, so he's an Iraq veteran, but then he comes back, and he's just living a very depressive life, I guess. You know, he's by himself. He has no family really, or he's just like by himself, just living in an apartment. Okay. And then I guess he just went through a lot of violence in his wartime, right? And then he hears a woman screaming outside his apartment. And then he goes out there and he wants to prove himself to, you know, to protect the woman. But then, you know, there goes the first mistake in a real life situation. You don't just go out there just to be a superhero. I mean, he could have just, in real life, you just call police. Say, hey, you know, this girl, they're abusing her. This is the description of all the offenders. There are people out there. This is how they look like. And this is the car they're driving. This is the license plate. And they're abusing this woman. They're trying to choke her and things like that. That's what you're supposed to do in real life. But no, you know, this is a movie. So he goes out there and says, hey, stop, you know, or, you know, don't do that. And then now there's like 5 guys that come at him, and he ends up killing like 2 or 3 of them and puts the rest of them in the hospital. Okay, so right there already, it's just a huge mistake right there. Okay, like you don't even know this person. You know, this woman, she's ended up being like a crack addict whore anyway. So now he's putting his his life in jeopardy. Okay, so he survives the fights, but then after that, now the police are gonna come after him because he just killed some people, and then the gang comes after him too. So it's just like, hey, you know, like he's playing this character that, hey, you know, I'm just a violent person coming out of war, and I'm just gonna, you know, be violent. You know, like he's just looking for a fight. You know what I mean? Like, okay, somebody is in trouble, okay, but it's the lose-lose situation. You know, it's showing the reality of combat because there's weapons that's getting involved, and then the weapons lead to death. So they either kill you or you kill them, and you lose either way. Because it's not even self-defense, and you're defending somebody that you don't even know. And this person that you're trying to defend doesn't even care about her own life anyway. And you know, to get involved with that type of lifestyle, that's her problem. You know what I'm saying? But, okay, so then he goes out there and then kills these people. And then the cops, okay, they act like they don't know what's going on, and then he goes away, he drives away, and then the cops are like looking around the place, and then he actually comes back to his own place and acts like as if he doesn't know anything. It's just like stupid, because in real life, you know, he would have just been locked up right there. They would have found him, and then he'd pretty much be in jail, you know, for killing these people. You know, so basically, it's not showing like, I mean, most movies are like this, of course, but they're not showing the reality of what you'd have to go through when you actually engage in street combat and you actually take somebody's life away. Like, what actually has to happen. I mean, he didn't call the police or anything, and now the police view him as a murderer, and they're gonna be they're gonna be seeking to take him out, put him in jail, and But yeah, again, I had to kind of continue this on later, but I gotta go now. But yeah, there's a lot to say about this movie, but anyway, that's the first part of this movie review.